Caitlin Clark tries again. This time it's good.
For games were required. The question grew louder by the minute as I watched 4 games from the bench at tip-off. Coach Lawson then performed what everyone had been hoping for. For Team USA, Caitlin Clark received her first start. And the next event was precisely what anyone who was paying attention had anticipated. Please leave a remark below. Do you believe Caitlin Clark will secure the starting position for the Spain match and beyond now that she has finally received her first start and performed so well? Share your thoughts with us.
Caitlin Clark tries again. This time.
After sitting through 3 games in a row as a reserve following 3 games in which fans and pundits asked why, Caitlin Clark finally received the starting assignment against New Zealand after 3 full outings of seeing the player who led her entire roster in scoring, distributing, music, and efficiency rating announced as a bench player. She then went on to validate everyone who had been calling for this exact move.
Court. Now we have arrived at a special point. Your contestants of the game. This player
Team USA destroyed 1-0-146 by a margin of 55 points. Only the opening 64-point crushing of Senegal was more than the tournament's second-largest winning margin in the entire FIBA Women's World Cup qualification process. Clark scored 14 points, shot 611 from the floor, threw out 6 assists, and pulled down 2 steals. The team's dominance was so complete that the result was virtually certain before the allotted time ran out. Yes, New Zealand isn't among the top basketball teams in the world. That's true. The opponent's strength was never the main problem here, but it wasn't a championship-level fight either. Ball circulation, team cohesion, offensive performance, and whether the product on the floor was visually appealing were all important factors. Each and every one of on Sunday, the answers to those questions were categorically affirmative. In the first few minutes, the disparity in basketball quality between this effort and the prior 2 games against Puerto Rico and Italy, both of which had awkward, disjointed stretches, became clear. The assault was energetic and rhythmic. Passes were clear and intentional. In their comfort zones, shooters were discovering clean opportunities. When the right players are in their right locations carrying out their assigned duties, the kind of fluid, coordinated basketball that had been almost non-existent in those earlier games suddenly appeared and changed everything into what Team USA is supposed to look like. And from the middle of the action, Caitlin Clark was directing everything. From the first possession, her court awareness was acute. In several instances, Clark was seen deciphering defensive alignments before plays had fully developed, processing information at a speed that required her teammates to be focused and prepared at all times. When opponents fell in her direction, she offered internal feeds. When her penetration attracted additional help defenders, she sent outlet passes to Paige Boers. The kind of contributions that significantly change a squad's performance, but don't always show up in conventional statistics. In this game, the whole roster's perimeter shooting efficiency reached nearly ridiculous heights. Team USA had made 13 of 16 connections from beyond the arc at one point. That rate is almost disrespectful to any defensive scheme. Against a New Zealand side that is already having difficulty containing side USA's athletic advantages, that level of accuracy from distance indicates a complete breakdown of the opponent's perimeter coverage. It was an ideal illustration of how, when everyone completes their tasks correctly, the floor spacing makes the offense practically unguardable. And who was producing a significant amount of the ball movement that created those opportunities that went uncontested? The starting point guard, who had just made his maiden appearance in the first 5. From the beginning of the game, Clark controlled possession, quickened the pace, read alignments before they could regroup, and found shooters before they recovered. There may be rotations. The team's explosive 13 of 16 three-point performance wasn't an accident. Beyond just directly adding 2 or 3 points to the scoreboard, Clark's own deep-range bomb in the first quarter achieved what great shot-making is intended to do. Defensive anxiety is brought on by it. Opponents are forced to take into consideration shooting distance, which most players are just unable to match. Additionally, defenders make mistakes when they feel intimidated. They go too far. In an attempt to neutralize the one player requiring that degree of focus, they give up on other duties. After the triple, she received her third personal foul and was obviously frustrated when the umpire's whistle went against her. It was evident that she expected the call to go in her favor, those insightful little moments that show a great deal about her competitive psyche. She was completely committed and fiercely competitive. Each and every item was important to her. Because the competition doesn't offer a real challenge, that isn't the physical manifestation of an athlete simply going through routines or saving energy. Regardless of the score, that is a competitor engaged in at utmost intensity. Since they're building an argument that should be hard to refute at this point, the efficiency differential figures throughout this tournament merit vocal emphasis. Caitlin Clark leads Team USA in 3 concurrent categories over the course of 4 competitions. She has a plus 104 efficiency rating, 51 points, and 25 assists. She is the best scorer, the team's main facilitator, and the player whose presence on the court has had the biggest beneficial effect on the team during the campaign. She has achieved all of this while sitting for the first tip in the first 3 games, coming in as a substitute, and operating in lineup arrangements that were being adjusted and tested around her presence rather than built upon her foundation. The numbers that should have settled the starting lineup dispute before it ever got contentious are the ones that are available in spite of these restrictive conditions. It is even harder to dispute the evidence now that she has been given the starting position and the team has destroyed the opposition by 55 points. The own of Team USA digital media accounts knew precisely how to convey the importance. Several photos from the New Zealand match were posted on Instagram by USA Basketball. They posted video of her deep ball in the first quarter. The caption read, "CC arrived to compete in her first start for the roster." Nothing more was needed to convey the content of that post. The people in charge of those platforms understood that this moment was significant not just for the result of a single game, but also for the broader story about the delay that had been emerging over the course of 4 games. Because Angel Reese's work on the glass was truly valuable, her contributions to this game also merit attention. She continued to constant presence on the board, which is exactly what makes her valuable to this team. When the ball gets to her in favorable spots, she recovers inside physicality and converts scoring opportunities. The team performs better when she plays that role instead of trying to be something she's not good at. The awkward moments from the Puerto Rico game, the times she passed Clark to advance the ball up court, and the times the point guard had to physically gesture and demand the basketball. The story of New Zealand did not include such moments. The team appeared to be more cohesive and focused than they had been in their last 2 appearances. Additionally, Ray Burrell produced a defensive error that resulted in instant points, exactly the kind impact from a late roster addition that unifies the group as a whole. The team chemistry is right when the player who joined at the last minute due to an injury is producing winning plays that extend advantages and reward effort. Moments like that are regularly produced by strong teams. There weren't enough of them in the last 2 competitions. Throughout, Monique Billings was a physical force. By the time broadcast commentators brought it up, it was 6 rebounds. The kind of inside finishing that comes from a player who knows exactly what her task calls for and completes it without needless complexity, as well as steady activity and possession battles. The lineup combinations with Billings leading the offense and Clark some of the smoothest basketball of the tournament was achieved by using the paint as a finishing target. The defensive play by Kelsey Plum that allowed Clark to get possession and score right away. When Team USA's assault is operating at the tempo Clark naturally establishes, that sequence was swift and decisive. Steal, fast release, Clark, music in transition, a choice made before a defensive recovery could take place. Basketball isn't that difficult. It's basketball at a faster pace. And when Clark sets the pace, this team creates faster basketball. Now that everyone is thinking about it right now, the Spain matchup deserves attention. Tuesday is the last match of the qualifying tournament, and it makes sense that Clark would be given another starting assignment after Sunday's performance. However, the tournament's past has been so erratic that it is risky to make any assumptions regarding the coaching staff's lineup choices. It doesn't guarantee consistency going forward if Clark is benched for 3 games and then starts and gives a strong effort in 1 game. It does, however, significantly increase the difficulty of defending the alternative choice. The coaching staff will need to explain what happened against New Zealand and why that performance doesn't justify Clark's ongoing use as a starter if he doesn't start against Spain. That explanation would have to be very compelling because the results of this competition have made clear the differences between what the offense produces when she is introduced gradually from the reserves and what it produces when she controls operations from the opening possession. Compared to New Zealand, Spain will offer a more challenging game. There is no doubt about that. Clark should start because Spain has real talent and will put Team USA to the test in ways that inferior opponents haven't in this tournament. Competitive competitions are those in which the starting lineup and the first few minutes of play are crucial. In a game where the opposition can gain an early advantage if allowed, you don't reserve your best facilitator for substitution duty. The World Cup, the real goal is to be in Berlin in September. This qualifying event serves as preparation, a chance to ascertain which combinations work, who players are capable of handling which duties, and what the team's fundamental identity should be prior to competitive international play. The tournament's 4 games have shown that when Caitlin Clark is leading the point with possession and her music control from the beginning, Team USA's identity is most clear and productive. It's not fan conjecture. That's what her plus 104 efficiency rating, 25 assists, 51 points from 4 games, and 55 points destroyed in her first start are all conveying at the same time. There is no doubt about the evidence. The visual evaluation is consistent with the coaching staff. Music and statistical data now have a comprehensive tournament collection of evidence to guide that September lineup. She did well even though the first start came 4 games too late. Going ahead, that is the only part of the story that has musical weight. 1 start for games of anticipation and a 55-point thrashing afterwards. From this moment until Berlin, the case for Caitlin Clark beginning each and every competition basically builds itself. Click the like button, subscribe for more, and share your prediction for the Spain game in the comment section if you believe Sunday was only the beginning of what this team looks like when the correct player is in charge.